Bob Wilbarg.
Michael O'Brien, if you please join me for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, the upcoming meetings are December 3rd and December 17th. Right now, both agendas are empty, so let's not leave here tonight unless we revisit those and cancel them. But we'll wait till the end of the meeting to do that. The first item is the approval of the minutes from September 17th. September 17th. Lori, myself, John Cutler, John Pascal, Bob and Craig were here. Has everyone had a sufficient chance to review? Are there any other first? Do I have a motion to approve the minutes of September 17th?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Oh, boy. It's
You're
tough with a
moving
new
on?
leader tonight, I'll tell you.
Oh, you're doing a good job. John, you're doing a
Okay.
great job.
Yeah, great
I have
job.
not finished reading the October 1st minutes, so if you don't
No,
mind, we'll
that's
defer
fine.
those.
That's fine.
Okay, the first item is an extension for Fian. Stormville Mountain Road was granted in July of 2012. Looking for a one-year extension. Jill, you're underway, and you want to talk to us about why the extension?
Well, my apologies, my husband usually does this, so I'm a little nervous. He's teaching defensive driving. Basically, we hired Tim Paraskiva. He cleared the area. We had to identify the trees, set a line of sight, something like that, find exactly what trees need to be removed and how. And we have a tree service, so we're asking for an extension to finish off the rest of the project.
Okay, and this is your first extension, right?
Yes.
Okay.
I think, I don't know, I haven't been here.
Yeah?
Questions or comments from the board?
I have none. No.
Can I have a motion?
So moved.
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries.
Thank you.
Thank
You're
you.
welcome.
Okay, the next one, Grape Hollow. Grape Hollow is an 11-lot subdivision. It was granted originally in 2011. You're looking for a 6-month extension. Per our discussions, tonight we're inclined to give a 6-month extension, but with the understanding that if there is another extension to be had, the onus will be on you to come in and explain that there has been no substantial change in the plan since it was originally approved.
Correct. We don't anticipate coming for another 6-month extension. Recently, Joe and I have been working together and dotting the i's, crossing the t's as far as plan details. Additionally, the surveyor of record has come through with the easements to a format that I think is much improved since the last submission. So the applicant is eager to move forward on this. It's been a little too long. But yeah, we do have the understanding that there'll have to be a discussion about any plan modifications. Additionally, specific to this one in Hunter's Ridge, had a conversation with Scott Bryant regarding the detention ponds and just making a condition on the plans that they the applicant developer provides an as-built plan to the town engineer just to show conformance that it's built into accordance with the approved plan before a building permit is issued for each subdivision. So we are in agreement with that. It actually protects the developer from the construction aspect of it, and also protects the town when road dedication comes along down the line. So we understand.
Okay.
And we agree.
Again, what we're talking about here is the retention ponds shown on the approved plans must be fully constructed before a building permit is issued. That's the change that we're doing here because of a number of incidents that we've had recently. So with that said, any comments from the professionals?
No, just to reiterate, not only to be constructed, but the as-bills to be submitted and approved by this office prior to the first building permit being issued.
Okay. Questions or comments from the, I'm sorry.
I was just going to say, Brian did mention he and I met recently, went over some details on the plans. It was it was relatively minor, but it was just cleaning up, you know, the way the plans look, kind of consolidating some items and making the references to different things clear, how it compares with the resolution. And but he has since worked on that and made modifications, so it's heading in the right direction as far as the plans.
Okay, thank you. Questions or comments from the board? Could I have someone offer the resolution, please?
Resolution granting an extension of final site plan approval. Name of the site plan is Grape Hollow, location Grape Hollow Road. Resolution offered by Planning Board member John Hutsko. Whereas the application was granted final approval on July 19th, 2011, and has been subject to extensions, and whereas the applicant has now requested an additional extension of 1 year, and whereas it is the desire of the planning board to authorize the extension subject to the conditions that were stated. Do I need to read those? or-
Yes, please, just for the official record, you just read the, please. Just the one bullet, that's all.
Oh, I'm sorry, okay. I didn't realize it was down there. Now therefore, so that, I should read that before the,
No, you can
No,
just.
just in order, yeah, that's fine.
now therefore be resolved that the above final approval in the above application be and hereby is extended for a period of 1 year from the date hereof, subject to the following terms and conditions. 1, the extension is granted, subject to any retention ponds shown on the approved plans being fully constructed before a building permit is issued with respect to a lot upon which the retention pond is constructed. The retention pond must be fully completed prior to the issuance of a building permit for any lots or lot that is located on it.
Okay, do I have a second?
Second.
Okay, votes are as follows. Jason?
Aye.
Russ?
Aye.
Craig?
Aye.
Uh,
I'm not on here?
No, you're done.
John?
I guess I'm not on there.
John?
Oh,
John
that's
Cutler?
right, okay, aye.
John Hutzkow?
Aye.
Yes.
Okay, I don't think I missed anybody, and my vote is aye. Your motion carries. Okay. I appreciate that little stroll down memory lane for board members long departed. So the motion carries. Okay, next one, Hunter's Ridge. Sounds a lot like the
Like
first
the
one.
first one, yeah. that's-
However, this one was approved initially in 2008, and we understand it was originally approved as a 12 lot, and now you're down to 10?
That's actually vice versa. It's, Grape was originally 11 lots. I mean, originally 12 lots, now it's 11.
Oh, okay, I'm sorry.
That's Grape Hollow.
You're right.
But Hunter's Ridge has always been 9 lots, and then we did a phasing of Hunter's Ridge, which subdivided one piece out, which is where I live. And now Phase 2 is 8 lots, which is the balance. And again, seeking an extension of final, and like we say in our letter, largely based upon market conditions. And the applicant would love to move forward, it's just the market's not at a level where it needs to be to pull the trigger and move to the next step. So that's why we're here tonight for an extension. And again, like we mentioned with Grape Hollow, we agreed to the condition of the as-built of the stormwater retention area prior to the issuance of a building permit. We can make that note on the plan.
Okay, good. Professionals? Okay. Board members?
Just one comment. How long, I realize the economic conditions are terrible. They were pretty terrible when it was passed. Things were going down the tubes. How long should we continue granting extensions because of economic conditions? That's a general question, or maybe not even an answer, just a comment.
I would think that the town would want to see these projects come to fruition after all the time and money's been spent on them. Again, we're not dealing with a Toll Brother type development where this is a public company with public support. This is a local citizen that lives in town. largely, this is his kid's college fund that's sitting on top of the mountain, and he does have a lot of money invested into that. And he'd love to sell it. He'd love to move on, but obviously the market conditions are not there. So, based upon the amount of money he has spent with us, the town fees, consulting, and the overall purchase price of the lot, he's between a rock and a hard place. So I think asking for the extension is the best that he can do right now.
Okay, let's see where we are in a year. But again, at that point, we'll need to understand what has changed and that, so.
Trust me, I would love to see this thing be built. It's more money for us, more house plans for us, plot plans.
Got it,
I can deal with Scott more.
got it. Okay. Could someone offer the resolution, please?
All right.
You'll have fewer neighbors though, if it stays the way it is.
Resolution granting an extension of the final site plan approval, Hunter's Ridge, 8-lot subdivision, location on Devon's Farm Road. Resolution offered by Planning Board Member John Cutler. Whereas the final approval was granted on October 7, 2008, and has been extended. And whereas the applicant has now requested an additional extension. Whereas it's desired of the Planning Board to authorize the extension subject to the conditions. Now be it resolved that the final approval in the above application be and hereby is extended for a period of 1 year from the date of the hereof subject to the following terms and conditions. This extension is granted subject to any retention pond shown on the approved plans being fully constructed before a building permit is issued with respect to a lot upon which the retention pond is constructed. The retention pond must be fully completed prior to the issuance of a building permit for any lots or any lot that is located on. Do I have a second?
So moved.
I assume that the one lot of yours that was split out doesn't count.
Correct, I already have a seal on that. Does not count.
Okay, votes are as follows. Let's just go down. John?
Yes.
Jason?
Yes.
Russ? Aye. Craig?
Yes.
John?
Aye.
Bob?
Aye.
My vote is aye. Your motion carries. Thank you. Okay, next up, Taconic Mobile Home, amended site plan. Understand you're this close.
Virtually.
Okay,
The plans are sitting in the planning office, ready to be signed. And there's a access easement agreement that was finalized between the attorneys and signed by the applicant. Apparently it's sitting in town. Once that gets signed, then the site plan can get signed. So we are very close.
and you are requesting a 6-month extension. With the winter professionals.
Yeah, we don't have any problem. Actually, our office signed off with a letter saying all prior comments were addressed, so it's really just a matter of the legal, as far as I know, the legal agreements.
Okay. Board members. Okay, I make a motion that we extend Taconic Mobile Home Park amended site plan on Hosner Martin Road for 6 months. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Any- Okay, your motion carries.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Have a good night.
Thank you, you too. Okay, next up, John Jay Gas Station. Again, this has been a while in the preparing, a while in the process. So, do you want to make any comments to open?
I'll just reiterate where we've been and where we are now. John Jay Gas Station, intersection of Lake Road, Route 52. We're proposing a traffic light. I know Brendan's had some off-the-record, nothing official comments from the DOT. They seem to endorse the light, although nothing's been officially issued, but Brendan can speak more to that. So I think that is a positive. Removing the 2 buildings, doing some site remediation, doing from 3 filling areas to 4 filling areas, new canopy, new parking and a drive-through around the back. I think at the last meeting, and the 3 public hearings that we've had, we've tried to address the comments as best we can. We are bringing central water across. We are still committed to that, bringing that up to the rear of our property line. Moving forward, things that have happened since then, we've initiated a strip survey along the 52 corridor, down Lake Drive, and also detailing some of Archway Plaza. So we can coordinate that with Hudson Valley Engineering, specific to the traffic light, the orientation, that kind of stuff. I've reached out to Scott's office to try to see if we can schedule a meeting to pinpoint where we're coming across with the water connection. I'd like to have that strip survey from the survey of record before we obviously have that meeting. We're hopefully anticipating having that by the end of the month, hopefully before Thanksgiving. So things are in the process of moving forward to the next step. We're talking to Michelle's office. We did do a landscaping plan to obviously landscape the green areas where they are. We are increasing green areas, reducing impervious slightly. And that's basically where we're at. I think the big issue was DOT, and I think Brendan can speak to that. Tom's office may have something specific to the water in DEC, but I haven't heard anything official.
I think this applicant has definitely demonstrated the willingness to work with all the proposals that we're throwing through, so I appreciate that. That said, Scott, can you just apprise us on the agreement surrounding putting the pipeline through?
Well, they're planning on connecting to the Shenandoah water system that's supplied by the town of Fishkill. We do have enough source supply to meet this particular demand. As Brian said, I think we still need to finalize exactly where we're going to tap in and come across 52 until the utility survey is completed. You know, in other words, everything that exists in the ground, and maybe they get a little feedback from a contractor to see, you know, what's going to be the best location. I think that's the next step before we finalize anything on paper in terms of where we're going to come across. So, but bear in mind, they need the water too, so they're motivated to get that done.
Right. Okay.
Scott, I remember you saying, when they had moved Lake Drive, it made it much easier to cross. But now the Lake Drive's back where it was. I remember you saying it was kind of difficult in a really tight situation.
Yes, that remains.
That remains. That's the question. If it's just tight, or is it going to be, in other words, will there be major requirements on the other side of the road that have to be taken care
Well,
of?
again, I mean, you know, we're speculating right now. Until we get all the utilities marked out, you know, the call before you dig, get their contractor on site and know exactly how much room they're gonna need for their jacking pits and their equipment, you know, no doubt we'll find a spot. It's just, I can't tell you exactly where it is as I sit here. We're gonna have to do a little more field work to get to that.
Have you decided which side you're gonna go from?
Well, the water main is on the south side of 52, so I mean, we know we're tapping on the south side, we have to come across. It's very busy right there at Lake Drive. We can't come across at an angle, and there's a septic field at the medical plaza. So,
Right.
like I said, it may turn out that we slide all the way down to the eastern property line, come across perpendicularly to 52, and then from there, maybe put a T and head in 2 directions, and then come up Lake Drive. I mean, we'll work it out. I'm confident we'll work it out. It's just, you know, until you get all these variables nailed down.
And the applicant's prepared to pay for it, no matter where it comes across T Drive?
He needs water for his business. So.
Okay, I just want to,
No, we did a worst-case scenario. If we even have to offer a utility easement to have the jacking and receiving pit on our property and an easement through our property to Lake Drive, we're amenable to that.
Brendan, if we could ask you to comment on, thank you, Scott. If we could ask you to comment on the traffic situation.
Right.
All right, so just a general update. Since the last time, the last public hearing, we have sat down and had a face-to-face meeting with the DOT, with the gentleman that's reviewed the traffic impact study. They asked for some additional information. A new requirement that they're putting out now is that you have to actually study the traffic at the time of when your construction is complete and plus 5 years. So that was something new that needed to get added to the traffic study. They also wanted us to add in some, since we're going to look out 5 years, they wanted us to look to add some background traffic from the tech park, knowing that there's going to be some development there in the future.
So we did do that, and we prepared that supplement, submitted to DOT. They have reviewed that, at least, the gentleman that reviewed the original study reviewed that. He verbally has told us, and through email, that he is conceptually in agreement with the signal and believes that it meets the warrants for a signal. He is now circulating the signal concept around to other people that have comments on that, and some of those comments are, related to pedestrian accommodations, the existing right turn that goes into the high school, coordination with the existing signal that's currently at the high school driveway, and then also getting a better understanding of future development within that corridor. So they're going to give us formal comments shortly, but actually before they give us the formal comments, they also requested a meeting between my office, Brian's office, and the town. They want to sit down and sort of review the concepts of the signal and make sure everyone's, on the same page and has the same, understanding of what could be connected there in the future. Maybe that connection we talked about to the tech park being opposite Lake Drive as that gets developed. We're currently arranging that meeting. We've exchanged some potential dates, so we expect to have that meeting in the next 2 weeks. So that's sort of the update of where we are, but I think pretty good news in terms of it does look like they're going to approve a signal installation at this location. Just to give you a brief update of what the traffic situation looks like. I know we've been through it before, and basically the existing Lake Drive, if the gas station was reopened, is sort of teetering on a failing level of service without a signal. If we look ahead and add, projected traffic for 5 years, it definitely fails, being unsignalized. So, and then if the development goes in as what's proposed and there's no signal, it really fails. So once we put a signal in, it takes those failing levels of service overall for the intersection, back to overall level of service of Bs and a level of service C for Lake Drive individually, but, certainly acceptable.
During peak or off-peak?
In the peak time. We're only looking at the level of service in the critical peak hours.
Okay.
So, an overall level of service of B, which is very good.
What about the concern about the queue backing up into the site and across the road?
Right. On signalized, when we do that analysis, even on the existing condition, what some people in the public stated and observed seems to be accurate, because our analysis shows that with the traffic out there now, you could have queues of 8 to 12 cars down Lake Drive, and the driveways are close. The way Brian's rearranged the site a little bit now, the driveway has moved back a little bit. We have about enough storage for 4 to 5 cars before the driveway into the facility, but with a signal installation, our queues for the cars are only 1 or 2 cars per cycle.
Okay.
So, the queue is greatly reduced because the signal is going to be able to push them through the intersection. And then to even benefit that a little bit further, the driveway's been moved back.
Okay.
So we have a little bit more room to queue traffic up.
Okay, great, thank you. Any comments from the professionals? Other comments?
Just a couple other things with respect to the water. There's a condition here for the water main, but that'll probably be something to say it'll need to be done before a CO is granted, which, they would need to do something with water. If the water main wasn't there and they would want to open the store, they'd have to possibly drill a well, but having a well there doesn't seem to be feasible because of all the other separations. So it seems like the water main's gonna come across one way or the other. And,
Joe, could you speak into the mic?
oh, sorry. Yeah, I had it in my memo about, if they can't do the water main for whatever reason, the option might be having a well out there, but I think they've looked into that and decided that's not really too viable of an option. But we were gonna add something to the condition that says the water main and any appurtenances would be installed prior to CO, which is something, the health department would do anyway. And Brian also provided an estimate for the site work to come up with some bond amounts. And Scott and I were just looking at that briefly tonight. And, you know, with the remediation work, we thought there maybe should be some number in here for that, even though that's done by DEC permit. It's something that's required in order for them to get their site work going. So there should be a line item for that. And the water main doesn't seem to be in the estimate either, and that would be significant with the cost of boring under 52. So we were gonna have to, you know, go through these numbers and look at them closer, but
Wait a minute, time out. This resolution does not have the provision for the water main?
Yeah,
no, it does.
It's a bond.
he's talking about the.
Oh, the bond.
Yeah, the
We
bond.
just got today.
Yeah.
Okay.
And the bond looks a little light, so we're gonna revisit that,
Okay,
the bond.
okay. Sorry, I misunderstood. Okay. Any other comments from the professionals? Comments from the board?
Yeah, I do have a question. This reminds me very much of Arthur'sburg, when we talked about, you know, being inclined towards a signal or whatever language you like to use, and we realistically asked how long it would be before a signal was put in. And I believe the estimate's kicking around then with 3 to 4 years. Now, I would assume this would fit in the same category, that we would build, then measure the traffic volume, see what happened with the West Complex, see what happened with the corner where they want to put professional buildings, and then 3, 4 years down the line, we get a signal.
Yeah, that's not my understanding.
That's not how Arthur'sburg is. They need to have that signal.
No,
not just
no,
for-
Arthur'sburg, but
for the
Steve
CO, I
Salland,
imagine this to be the same.
Yeah, I
But
mean,
Senator Steve Salland intervened with the DOT, and that's what got us the signal. There was a
But
letter written
regardless,
by
the
him.
resolution reads, has to have the signal operation before a CO is issued for the building. That's
Okay, so that's the way it is, the signal must be in before they get a CO.
Arthur'sburg.
yeah,
But
and the way
what
we're
does-
progressing this with the DOT now, I mean, the understanding is that the signal is gonna go in as part of this development.
That means the signal would go in before they get a CO.
Correct.
But, is that the way it's written in? I didn't
That's
think
my
it
It
was.
question.
it just says,
I know that we're going to provision for it, and there will be funds held in escrow, but I don't believe that that's gonna be a condition
You're
here.
correct, it's not specified currently, and that's what we're talking about.
okay.
Okay. Okay, any other comments from the board? Okay, we have a neg deck before us, dated November 19th. What I would propose to do is to paraphrase parts of it, rather than read it to you. If you want me to stop and read, I will, but right now, if you're not, speak up if you're not satisfied with the summations. Again, we analyzed 6 areas, and they were as follows. Stormwater runoff, again, the proposed parking lot and yard revisions are de minimis and do not significantly change the impervious cover. So basically, in fact, there will be a decrease in the amount of impervious cover from the existing proposed conditions of approximately 6,100 square feet. So therefore, there were no findings there. Traffic and circulation, the site will generate some new traffic, although patronage will be primarily from the existing traffic stream on Route 52. Again, it talks about the traffic study, and that basically that the new traffic signal and the existing installation of John Jay will be mandated by the New York State DOT, provide for efficient flow on Route 52. Gets into the additional benefits of that traffic light for that corridor. Visual and aesthetics, the proposed project is located within an established highway business corridor. Although there are several residential properties in close proximity, therefore, the plan incorporates several features which will reduce the potential for impacts to the neighboring properties. These are the lights, the motion detectors on the lighting, and the applicant will be required to enter into a legally binding agreement with the town to ensure proper maintenance and perpetuity of the landscaping and screening. So we don't anticipate there will be no significant visual impacts from this project. Noise and air quality, again, during construction, local air quality in the immediate vicinity will be potentially temporarily affected as a result of the excavation activities and due to the movement of the construction vehicles. However, again, these are seen as short-term during the construction period. For the longer-term, noise, odors, and traffic exhaust from the operation of the completed project are not expected to result in any substantial increase over the existing condition of the noise, odors, and traffic already experienced in the proximate areas around the vicinity on Route 52. So as a result, accordingly, the project would have no significant adverse impacts on the noise levels or air quality. Site remediation and water source, again, this actually is improving the site as part of the remediation, which is ongoing. In terms of the site undergoing remediation by the New York State DEC spill cleanup program, the applicant proposes to amend the current site plan in part due to other physical changes at the site that were necessitated by the cleanup. So again, this actually advances the cleanup faster. So as such, no significant impact from this project is expected in this regard either. There were no other significant potential impacts that were identified as a result of the application process associated with this project. So, any questions or comments on the neg deck?
Just on item 11, where it says must return to the board for modification or approval.
That's the resolution.
Yes, I'm sorry, forgive me, sorry,
Okay.
yes.
Okay, so the neg deck, all those in favor of approving the neg deck?
Aye.
Well, actually, I have to have someone offer it, right? Do you want to make an offer?
A resolution, you mean?
Yes,
What do you want me to do?
that you propose that we accept the neg deck.
Yeah, I propose that we accept the neg deck.
We have a second.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
So the neg deck is accepted. Okay. Okay, I believe we have a resolution. Would someone like to offer the resolution?
We'll try. Planning Board, Town of East Fishkill, resolution of site plan approval, name of subdivision, John J. Station, name of applicant, Gasland Petroleum Incorporated, location, Route 82 and Lake Drive. Resolution offered by Planning Board member John Hutzko. Whereas an application for Planning Board approval of a site development plan pursuant to Chapter 194 of the Town of East Fishkill Code for an approximate 3,800 square foot gas station and convenience store with drive-up was submitted by Gasland Petroleum Incorporated on a set of drawing plans entitled Amended Site Plan John J. Station, prepared by M. Gillespie and Associates, Consulting Engineers, PLLC, latest revision dated September 30th, 2013, and whereas the subject property of .63 acres is located at Lake Drive and Route 52 and designated on the Town of East Fishkill tax maps as grid number 635604, 635231, and whereas, as required by Article 8 of the New York State Environmental Conservation Law for the proposed unlisted action, the applicant completed and submitted Part 1, 2, and 3 of the full environmental form with supplements dated September 30th, 2013. And whereas the applicant further requests that the property be granted a special permit under Section 194, 85E to allow redevelopment, and whereas a public hearing was held pursuant to Chapter 194 of the Town of East Fishkill Code and pursuant to Chapter 274-A of the New York State Town Law on said application at the East Fishkill Town Hall, 330 Route 376, Hopewell Junction, New York, on February 5th, 2013, at 7:30 p.m., adjourned to other dates and closed on October 15th, 2013. And whereas the public hearing notice for this application was published in the Southern Dutchess News, and whereas the subject public hearing notice was mailed to adjacent and across the street property owners within 500 feet, and the subject property was posted with a sign giving notice of the public hearings, and whereas the subject application was referred to the Town of East Fishkill Conservation Advisory Council, the Architectural Review Board, the Town Engineering Department, Fire Advisory Board, Highway Superintendent, the New York State Department of Transportation and the Dutchess County Planning Board and the town's traffic consultant. And whereas the Town Architectural Review Board recommended approval of the building elevations, and whereas based on the comments made by the adjacent property owners at the public hearing, revisions to the site plan were made, including reducing the size and changing the layout, etc., as well as additional screening from the residences. And whereas comments in response to the referrals of the subject application were considered by the planning board, as well as written and verbal comments made in response to the subject application at the public hearing. And whereas the planning board conducted a site inspection of the subject premises, and whereas a negative declaration under section 617.7 of the SECRA regulations was adopted on an even date herewith. Now therefore be it resolved that the planning board hereby issues final site plan approval for the above project as represented on a map entitled Amended Site Plan John Jay Station, prepared by M. Gillespie and Associates Consulting Engineers, PLLC, dated January 15th, 2011, and revised through September 30th, 2013. And be it further resolved that the board hereby grants a special permit pursuant to section 194-85E of the zoning law to allow the site redevelopment. Be it further resolved that this approval is subject to the following conditions, which must be completed before the plan is signed by the planning board chair. 1, the modification set forth in the town engineer's letter dated October 4th, 2013. 2, obtain the required signatures from the Department of Health, the approvals for sign-off from the town engineer, highway superintendent, planner, and attorney, as well as the town consulting engineer, and submit 5 prints of said drawings to the planning office. B, submit an as-built survey in AutoCAD file in digital format prior to the certificate of occupancy. 3, obtain verification from the receiver of taxes on an appropriate form indicating that taxes on the subject property have been paid. 4, posting of a performance security pursuant to section 194-24E of the town code in the amount of $200,000. Said security to be in effect for a period of not less than 2 years from the date thereof. Prior to the release of the signed site development plan by the planning board clerk, said security shall be submitted to and approved by the town attorney, which will then be forwarded to the town clerk and a copy to the planning board clerk. 5, the applicant is advised that the conditions of this approval must be satisfied and the site plan drawing signed by the planning board chairman and any required permits obtained prior to beginning any related work on the subject property except for the site remediation. 6, submit lighting plan with photometrics and add the same to the site plan to the satisfaction of the planning consultant. 7, all landscaping will be noted on the site plan and approved by the town planner. A maintenance agreement will be entered into between the applicant and the town for the upkeep of the landscaping. 8, all necessary DEC, DOH, and DOT permits as required must be in place prior to the signing of the site plan. 9, all the terms and conditions of the negative declaration adopted herein must be completed at all times. 10, opening of an environmental monitor escrow account and payment of a site inspection fee in the amount to be determined by the town engineer. 11, approval is specifically granted upon the condition that Route 52 and Lake Drive is signalized in accordance with approvals by the New York State DOT. If the signal is not approved, the project must return before the board for modification of the approval. 12, the applicant has agreed as a term of the approval under section 194-85E to construct a water main and required appurtenances as shown on the plans from the southerly side of Route 52 to the rear of the subject premises. Said line shall be dedicated, all with any required easements to the town for public use. Final water plan must be approved by town engineer. 13, crosswalk and striping will be installed as shown in the plans. The sidewalk will be extended all Route 52 from Archway Plaza to Lake Drive, and will have drop curbs for crossing streets and boxes wired for pedestrian crossing signals. 14, New York State DEC sign-off on the remediation work must be received by the town prior to issuance of the certificate of occupancy.
I have a correction on 15. Its operation of the drive-through is limited to the hours of 5 a.m. to 11 p.m. And the intercom on the menu board will be volume regulated to limit the sound as much as possible. Excuse me, sorry.
Makes a lot
It
more
makes
sense.
more
than-
sense that way.
than only being allowed to operate between 11 PM and 5 AM.
5 a.m.
Yeah, that sounded
That's
pretty good.
Yeah.
Those were good hours.
Okay, so we accept 15 then with the changes. 16, the site will be completely fenced during construction.
Okay, so Scott, we were going to add some comments about the bond.
Yeah, and if we could, rather than, we can say the 200,000 or an amount to be approved by the town engineer.
You okay with that? That was 4. Okay, any other changes?
Line 12, we said prior to CO, that the water line will be installed prior to CO.
I'm sorry?
On 12.
Okay.
I'd like to see another change, but
Well, hold on a second. What-
sure.
The rear of the subject premises, comma, prior to a CO. Okay, Bob?
On 11, I would like it to
Yeah.
read, if the signal is not installed, the drive-through will be closed until such time as a signal is installed.
I think it says if it doesn't get approved, they have to come back here.
And no, it says they must return before the board for modification of the approval.
Right.
The whole thing can be built, and DOT could then say, no, you can't have the signal, and what are we gonna modify at that point? I would just say, don't let them have the drive-through
I think
without a
that would be an
signal.
option we would have at that time.
I think we should have it now, but that's my opinion.
Okay?
Well, the traffic will still be there, they just don't, it's not open.
Well,
Do we gonna close it?
So they can build what they want, but they can open, will be subject to.
Their
at
risk
that
to
time.
build it.
Okay,
That's why I'm saying it must be closed.
okay.
Continue?
Well, any other comments? Okay. Okay, go ahead, I think that's it.
Be it further resolved that the approval of said development plan shall be valid for a period of 12 months from the date of this resolution to satisfy all conditions of approval and to obtain the signature of the planning board chairman on the site development plan. If there is no substantial change in the condition of the site and/or its environs, site development plan approval may be extended by the planning board for one additional period of 1 year upon timely application by this applicant and a written explanation of the reason for the delay which required the granting of a time extension. And be it further resolved that within 5 business days of the adoption of this resolution, the chair or other duly authorized member of the planning board shall cause a copy of this resolution to be filed with the town clerk and a copy sent to the applicant owner.
May I have a second?
Second.
Jason, thank you. Okay. Votes are as follows. Jason?
Aye.
John?
Aye.
Hutzler? Russ?
All right.
Craig?
Aye.
John Cutler?
Aye.
Bob Wilbar?
No.
Okay, my vote is aye before announce. Bob, do you want to tell us why you voted no?
Just on that, I think the traffic situation, having the drive-through without the signal, and I think that's a very great possibility for a few years. I I think that's something that should not be inflicted on the residents of Lake Drive and the community back there.
Okay, thank you. Your resolution carried, it's carried.
Thank you.
Thank you
My
very
pleasure.
much.
Thank you.
2 years. Okay, the next item. Echo Cottage, Route 82, Clove Branch Road. Let me introduce this if I may. It's the belief of this board that you were granted a temporary approval to put the cottage up. It was our understanding at that time that it was gonna go up to the Dutchess County Fair.
Yep.
And that's where it was gonna stay. Now it sits in the site, and we are prepared to offer you an extension tonight, but with the understanding that now that it's going to be a permanent part of the site, we would like you to come back and get a permanent site plan modification that shows that this thing is gonna be there for perpetuity, just like every other business.
Okay.
So with that, I'll turn it over to you.
Okay, we did not ask for a permanent, we asked for a year extension,
Okay?
okay? We never heard anything back from anybody until I got this letter, or actually Jill got a letter from Mary Minsk giving us 2 days to remove it.
Okay?
What a great way to do business in East Fishkill. And my contention has always been, we don't need your permission to even be there, and I'll explain why, if you'll give me the opportunity.
Okay? Go ahead.
We can share if you don't have enough.
Here, go ahead, I'll pass it on. I'll pass them down to you. Okay, sorry. Please, no, go ahead. Go ahead.
No, go ahead. It's okay, we can go over here. This works.
At one point, we did have a deal on one of them. It was over on Blue Hill Road and Shenandoah Road. And the topic came up that these were gonna be taxable. So Kathleen Martin did some research, and she determined through New York State real property tax that these things are taxable. They're considered real estate. And if you read the real property tax, they fit the definition of becoming actually taxable real estate. So if you go to go to your town code, and it's section 131-12, uses of mobile homes, and I'm gonna quote right out of that, your code. It says, no persons, and you have a copy of it right there. No persons shall use or park any house trailer within the town of East Fishkill except within the limits of a duly licensed trailer park or camp. And none of these provisions of this chapter, however, shall apply to the sale, storage, or garaging of a house trailer or house trailers, provided the same are unoccupied or not used for sleeping or living purposes, and are not being stored in violation of zoning ordinances or any ordinance to the town or of the town. Now, what better place to actually sell these things but in a real estate broker's office? That's why I don't think we actually have to even be in front of you guys. Her site plan does not exclude her selling these things, so why does she have to have a site plan saying that she can sell them?
It would be my understanding, and Michelle, you can keep me honest here, that would pertain to someone's trailer that they vacation in and use, that basically says they can park it on their property. But what we're talking about, sir, is a business. And leaving it there, you have to admit, changes
Okay.
the
What are
look
we hurting?
and feel.
Tell me exactly what we're hurting by having it there.
You know what, if, that would certainly be an applicable question to the full site plan review, which, I mean, again, I don't see that being a really extended review.
What's it gonna cost me? That's what I wanna know. Why is it so hard to do business in this town? I was born in Hopewell Junction, and I wanna open a business in Hopewell Junction. I wanna employ people in
And we
Hopewell
applaud you for that, and we are glad to have you
Yeah,
here.
but it makes it so hard to do anything in Hopewell.
I think basically what you need is an amended drawing that says this thing is going to be there.
Okay, we actually gave a drawing when we got the permission to stay there to begin with. You did
Was there a drawing that showed it on there? I don't recall.
Yes.
one.
Yes.
I don't,
There's a sketch.
okay.
That's all it takes, you got it.
Pardon?
It was approved for August 31st.
Right,
Now, the deal didn't work out going up to Dutchess County Fair.
okay.
But I've got a whole handful of papers of people that come there every weekend to visit. I've got, our website's been seen in 950 cities in the country.
As you know from other applications, I've been one of your proponents in this, right?
So what does it hurt?
So let me ask a question. Is the diagram would that be acceptable to the engineering department as a site plan document?
I don't know that we've reviewed it for complete conformance. I don't know, Joe, if you?
I'd have to
I mean,
check
this
our
is- here's one
file.
of the
I
things
remember
that I
we
went through.
received it.
Here's
I
one
don't
thing I went
know
through with
that
Mary
we got
Beth.
to the point of writing a letter.
I changed
like,
one line on
it
my
was more
sign.
for
that said-
discussion.
I took away my phone number that said 1877
But I remember
YN.
that wasn't drawn in
2
complete
days later, she
scale.
was down, I had to come
Size
down
of the
here to visit
trailer.
her because I changed my sign.
Okay,
I mean, come on.
Right.
I put up good for grandma.
okay. So,
She's been trying to chase me out of this town since we
I
put
wish,
it
I
there.
wish the attorney was here to comment on your quoting of town code, because depending on the interpretation of
Yeah.
that,
I think that it was intended for your personal recreational, that again, you're not storing it in a very prominent space in a business, okay? And so, I
We're
understand.
trying to sell it. It's-
So let
it's
me
a-
ask a question, I mean, what would it
Well, I
take
tried
now
to
to
talk
bring
to
this?
Tom about this, and Tom won't get involved in it.
Okay.
And Tom can't really get involved in it. He can't,
okay,
he's my attorney too. He was actually the
okay, then
attorney of record.
we need so there's always the law and there's unexpected consequences.
Yep.
Now, the law as written doesn't say it was meant to be, it says this is what is.
But it's classified as real estate by your
I
town.
just wish we had an attorney to give an opinion on that section of the law for the town, that's all.
What
Because everything
would,
swings on that to me.
So I'm giving you guys a place to save face on this.
you'd have to fill out the form. I'm not looking to save face.
I mean,
No, I'm not looking to start a lawsuit. I mean, I was asking for 1-year extension, and I got pretty much ignored.
Okay,
And then last month, I find out,
I
Pam called
understand
the
that,
day
but
after,
you
and
have to
said, where
admit-
were you last night?
you are substantially changing a business lot in a very prominent location.
It's a real estate broker's office to sell real estate.
It's a business office.
That's right.
It-
And it's a business.
I'm guessing that it's technically would be an amended site plan because he's actually amending an existing approved site plan by adding an additional structure to the site plan.
It's a trailer parked in a parking lot, as I said to Lori G. a year and a half ago.
But there's a lot of factors. Does it create more impervious area? Does it obstruct
a
parking?
trailer parked in a
Does it
parking lot.
Does it obstruct parking or sight lines? All those are the kind
No,
of
it
questions that
doesn't.
get answered for a site plan approval.
Go take a look at it.
Right,
It
those are
doesn't-
the
But that's
questions.
not- that's not
We've
the
all been
question.
there. We've all been there.
Right.
We're saying, what we're trying to tell you is we don't envision a really difficult review process for an amended site.
But I don't
plan.
really want to pay a
But
town
it does
engineer
require one.
a ton of money to go down here and look and say it doesn't obstruct sight lines. It doesn't,
If I recall right, when we gave you the original,
I believe it doesn't meet setbacks, however.
the only problem we have is
it's
with
a
the
trailer
power.
parked in a parking lot. It doesn't have to meet sight backs, like
It's a
this, or
structure,
sight
it's a,
backs.
it's a
It's in a
structure,
parking
It's a-
lot.
but it's a
If
structure,
you would, if you
right?
assume the trailer definition's correct, it doesn't have to meet any of those things.
Right.
It's parked there. The
Right.
question is.
I think the question is whether or not it would be considered a structure.
Exactly, yes,
I think
and
that's
that's
the
where I
question.
think we need a legal opinion.
And I think by any reading, it is a structure. I mean, it's not like you're just parking it there. It's a sales.
That's
unit.
correct. And by this definition, you can park it to be sold. 131.
Have you sold any yet?
Excuse me?
Have you sold any yet?
We almost had one when we got she got tired, Marie Pavlock got tired of getting jerked around.
No.
Part of it by the town of East Fishkill.
No, she had the approval, okay? She got the approval.
I can tell you something, and I'm gonna say it in front of Scott. Scott threatened me because they asked Norma if they could move the trailer, move the cottage. And Scott actually had called me down to his office because he thought I talked to Norma and said that I would never have a cottage in East Fishkill if I talked to the
Okay.
zoning administrator again, or the ZBA again.
Does it still have wheels and tires and
Yes, it
everything
does.
on it? What time frame would it take to pack it up and pull it out of there?
It's a lot of money.
No, I'm saying,
What time, how much it
If you
take? Take a
decided
week.
to hook onto it and move it somewhere else, what?
The main power, problem would be disconnecting the power, right?
Yeah, yeah, that's the only thing that takes time, is taking the power off. And that can be done in a day.
So I have to hook up and drive it out?
Yep,
Does it have its own power from the pole or from the existing building?
no, it's from the pole, have its own service.
Has its own
You
service?
had a problem with the guy next door with his pole, and
Yeah, but that's all, it's all.
I know, but that
it's
was
all
the
on village
main-
property.
that was one of the main hangups.
Since we're probably not gonna meet in December, what I would propose is that we offer a month and a half extension for you to evaluate what you would have to do to get an amended site plan.
Well, tell me right now, because here's my position right now is, I wanna keep it there until August of next year, that's what I asked for. I didn't ask to keep it there permanently, I don't wanna keep it there permanently, I wanna keep it there till August of next year. That's all I asked for. I don't wanna go through an amended site plan, I do not wanna go through the whole thing with the town of East Fishkill's engineer. Otherwise, we will go through a lawsuit. Keep in mind that Tom is an engineer, or excuse me, is an attorney that we use, so you'll have to get an outside counsel to represent you. I do not mind going through negative publicity if you guys want to go through that whole route. I don't really care at this point. I'm tired of getting jerked around in the town of East Fishkill. Started out with Mary Minsk, and right now I have a problem with East Fishkill, and I don't mind making a scene about it.
Okay.
So if you want to start something, I'm not leaving there in a month and a half.
Would it be so bad, an extension through August of next year?
That's what I asked for.
That's what he's asking.
I know, I'm just saying, would that be so bad?
No, that's what I asked for.
That
But
was a
everybody,
comment.
No,
everybody
general.
ignored me.
General comment.
It was just a general comment. It wasn't a question.
In August
Okay.
next year, you could ask for another year?
No,
All
I'm
right,
gonna
let's
get the hell
let's
out
go
of here.
around the room here, if you don't mind. Brendan, what's your comment on this?
In terms of what? In terms of the, site- well, I just think there's some things, like just the site plan stuff, like, I mean, as you even freely said, it's parked in the parking lot.
Right,
Well, that parking lot was part of an approved site plan for the real estate office.
okay, does that site plan disallow having something parked in it?
Well, permanently obstructing the parking spots, sure,
Yeah.
absolutely. I mean, the number of parking spots that are associated with that
She
development.
has extra parking spaces, she doesn't need
Well, maybe
that many.
exactly, but that's something
Check
for,
it out.
that's something for a amended site plan to actually agree to or not agree to.
Well, you have her site plan right here.
Where does it go?
But
Somebody has to
there's a
buy it.
process that needs to be followed, like everybody else has to follow a site plan approval process.
Michelle, go ahead, what's your
I
comment?
I'm just saying that typically, if there's going to be an amendment to a site plan, and you do need to look at parking and other issues, there's a process that is prescribed by the zoning code and is required to be followed. Or else anybody could come in and say that they want an amendment to a site plan without going through the site plan process.
Okay. Scott, do you have any comment?
I have
Joe?
no comment.
Joe?
I was just thinking, a lot of times there's restrictions on outdoor display and storage in different zones, and if that was the case at this zone.
Could you let him finish, please?
Yeah, well, I know when we looked at the plan, it didn't particularly seem like this trailer was drawn to scale, so it was kind of minimized the size of it on the plan.
Total parking spaces require 8, total parking spaces require 12, or it's supplied 12. So I don't think we're
Okay, but the point is that the review of this happens typically in a process where we get the plans that come into an office and we review them.
extended period of time, we get a.
John Hutzkow, comments?
I kind of agree that it's a structure that's sitting in a parking lot. Parking lot is for cars to park and then go and come back, and it's there. It's like, not permanent, but it's gonna be there for an extended period of time. We need to review it and make sure that we don't have any issues with it.
Russ?
The classification of exactly what is it? Is it a mobile home? Is it a, permanent site type of, I need some legal answers on the whole thing.
Okay. Craig?
I think it should go through due process, get the review, let them come back in January and give opportunity for the professionals to review it Along with, I'd like to get an opinion from the attorney on, you know, as Russ was saying, you know, it should get that interpretation, but that seems to be a point of contention.
Okay. John?
Mine on the thing was that we gave approval to have this until August of last year, of this year. So we were fully aware of what it was gonna take. So I believe that, you know, if this was gonna continue, if he was gonna sell these for a period of several years, then I would make him go through the amended site plan. But he's asking for an extension, and I think that we should be able to give it to him, since we gave it to him once before. That's
Bobby?
I agree with John completely. The only thing that I would like to add is, without legal opinion, I would believe that the way the law is quoted, this counts as a trailer and shouldn't need any approval at all.
My own view is, I would love to help you. However, I do believe there is a process for this. I do also believe that you've already said once that it was gonna be out of there by this date, and it's still there.
Well, when we were here last year, Lori said if we need some longer period to ask for an extension, and we did. We sent you a letter in June, you guys ignored it. And I never heard anything again until I got a letter from Mary.
Okay, if that's the case, then I apologize, but we are where we are right now.
I'd like to make a motion that we grant him an extension until the end of August of next year,
That would be
with no further extensions after that.
That'd be fine. That's all I want.
All right, I'll tell you what, I'll put that up for a vote.
But we need a second first, if anybody cares.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
2. All those in favor, let me throw out another proposal. That we give you a month and a half to go with at least the acknowledgement that you'll explore what a formal review would take.
So I'm gonna give you an idea of what it's gonna cost me.
Okay, you can
A lot
get that
less
in a
than a
month and a
lawsuit.
half. But at least you won't walk out of here tonight in variance.
So you needing a variance?
Meaning you are in variance right now, that you're not in compliance with the zoning code right now,
Okay, when,
because it expired.
right,
So this way, you would get an extension until the middle of January, our first meeting in January,
okay.
to explore what it would take.
What do you need in your site plan?
Again, you would have the intervening period to, I
hire an
believe it's a
engineer?
form. Is there a fee associated with the submittal? There is. How much is it?
The amended site plan, I want to say,
I think it was $350 last time, wasn't
no, that was for discussion,
it? Okay,
and that's one time in front of the board, period.
okay.
The amended, or the site, the amended site plan would be $1,000 application and $1,000 escrow.
I'm not gonna spend that kind of money. I'd rather spend that on an attorney. to be honest
Okay.
with you. It's gonna take you till August to throw me out of there anyway.
Okay, no, so at this point, I think we are gonna agree to disagree. Is that correct? Have a nice evening.
You too.
Okay, the last item on the agenda, before we talk about the last meetings of the year, are the Arthur'sburg Corner phasing plan.
I have one thing here,
Sorry.
back to this. I'm just reading the minutes back when we did all this.
Is this for me or?
Yeah, no,
Okay.
I just want to read you the minutes. Lori stated that they have talked about having the applicant come before the board in 6 months or a year. She asked, realistically, how long would you need to be there, Mr. Novak? Mr. Novak said they would like to stay until they go up to Dutchess County Fair next year. Mrs. G asked if they anticipated coming back to the site after the fair. Mr. Novak said no. They have been offered a site on Route 9. He stated if they cannot make this work in a year, they don't deserve to be able to try.
Well, that was before you guys took until, the town of East Fishkill took until April to actually pass your law. We did not anticipate taking from July of last year till April of this year, the town of East Fishkill to pass a law.
Well,
And that was
hopefully you're not
necessary.
limiting your market to East Fishkill alone.
Excuse me?
Hopefully you're not limiting your market to East Fishkill alone.
No, we're not.
Okay.
But we couldn't advertise really until we had a town actually that had a law. We had a town of Wappinger, but, you know, if you're gonna start advertising, you really wanted to advertise in the town that you've got a law in. And that's where we were set up. And every time we talked to Tom or we talked to somebody down here, it was next month, next month, next month. Well, next month finally ran until I think, what, April 17th, when it finally got passed.
Okay, Bob, it is what it is.
Thanks.
Thank you. Have a nice evening. Okay, the Arthur'sburg Corners phasing plan. Right now, Brian, as we understand, you're still working with the DOT.
Still working with DOT, just to give you an update on where we're at. Originally came before the board. The concept was DOT improvements first, and work our way back into the site. Just basically working up the hill with improvements. The process with DOT, with the structure department, has been interesting. It's been time consuming, and communication has always not been clear. The box culvert's been made, it's been approved by DOT, it's sitting up at the precaster's yard. The timing of when it got built, approved, the window wasn't big enough to get it into the ground before the asphalt plants closed this year. Combined with the fact that the DOT structures that go into the right-of-way expansion, the catch basins, that kind of thing, that took a long time to get approved. So basically, it forced us to kind of do in-site improvements, so we didn't lose the year.
Right.
So basically, what we've done is everything's set to begin in the DOT corridor in the spring of this year. There's a number of poles that had to be removed too, that had to be moved back into the site. Central Hudson, unfortunately, on 2 occasions, sent out 2 of the wrong estimating teams. Further delayed how they're going to design the poles, guy wires, that kind of thing. So that was another aspect of the delay in the DOT improvement corridor. Mitch, in wanting to try not to lose time over the winter, we started doing more of our in-site improvements. We've begun the installation of the riprap swale down the side, construction of the upper holding pond. We've also started to bring up the grade where the buildings are. And working with Scott's office, we've come up with an amended phasing plan here. It's Phase B. That basically allows us to build up the pad site for the 2 buildings and try to get the footings in the ground before the hard frost comes. That way we don't lose the building season. We hopefully get the structure up before the snow flies. And with this amended phasing plan, we kind of detail how we're going to handle some of the runoff and some of the drainage that wraps around the site. So basically, we're here tonight in front of the board just to give you an update on why there's been a delay with DOT and kind of how we're working with that delay in site. And hopefully we'll be hitting the ground running in the spring.
Okay, so Scott, to paraphrase some of your comments earlier, I mean, you basically believe that the applicant has made every effort with the DOT and that you believe approval should be forthcoming, and that...
I can't speak if they're forthcoming, but I know they made every effort.
Okay. That said, then I would make a...
I just want to clarify one point though, and that is the pond is going to be completed. I know they stopped work on that, but I want to make sure the pond's completed.
Yeah, they stopped work on it. They had, Brian from BK had to finish up a couple other projects while he still had the weather on his side. But yeah, the pond will be constructed, will be completed. From what I understand, the structures are being made right now for the pond outlet structure. They should be arriving on site shortly. So the intention is to get that completed before the frost really comes.
Yeah, as long as you're working on it even concurrently, but that you don't abandon the pond to go work on the building. The pond's got to continue.
I think just to get set for the spring, it has to be done now. And I think we actually detail that on the plan, and we'll make note of it that it does concur early.
Okay. So I would, I think we have a proposal in front of us to allow the applicant to proceed with the construction season. I would make it conditional on the continued approval of the town engineer. And he can feel free to redirect you in here as needed. And as warranted.
As warranted.
And allow you to keep, with the idea that the approval should be forthcoming for the drainage plan. So that said, can we have someone make that motion?
Scott, you don't have any problems with them pouring, do you?
With what?
With them pouring foundations?
With pouring, well, we'll have to follow, you know, the code requirements for pouring concrete, whether it's the blanketed or.
I know, but
all that stuff.
I would think he'd want to pour quickly.
Yeah.
It's as soon as possible.
Yes.
And if you drive out to the site, in order to bring up the site, to establish a finished grade, we put a couple Jersey barriers in there, just to do a temporary holding back of the material.
Yeah, I just want to make sure Scott has no problem with that right now.
No, I mean, homes are built year-round, every day, you know, and there's certain requirements for the hot, weather concreting, you
Yeah.
know, warm water, blankets, et cetera.
You're okay
So,
with this?
Yeah, yeah, that's part of the building department, yeah.
I'd just like to have Scott say yes.
Me too.
Okay, again, can I have someone offer that resolution?
So moved.
Can I have a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay, the motion carries.
I do appreciate it.
Thank you. Okay, we have 2 meeting dates in front of us. Ho, ho, ho.
Cancel.
Somewhere in this pile of paper are those dates.
December 3rd.
December 3rd and December
17th.
17th. There is nothing on them,
You may look at it.
either one?
No discussion.
There's nothing on the 3rd as of right now. The 17th, we're not gonna know until next Wednesday at noon.
Okay.
That's mapped at, and that's when we would get the submittals for December 17th.
So at this point, I would make a proposal that we cancel the December 3rd meeting.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Could we have a motion to adjourn, and a John J. Student needs a signature?
Question. If we're not meeting, how can we cancel the December 17th meeting?
What? We're not.
No, but
I know
then you
that,
mean
but
you're gonna
I
leave it on, you
think-
can't cancel it, or can you? You still can? Okay,
It can be
cool.
canceled.
I'm sorry. Oh, Arlington, okay.
Well, that's
All the
fine.
same? Any one of them can sign.
Usually they're from John Jay.
Resolution to adjourn,
So moved.
Second.
second, all in favor?
Aye.
I know, you got the right.